Hello, good evening, Leandro. How are you? Is everything all right?
Yes, everything all right.
Great, that's good to know. Let's work, please. Again, you know that we finished with the two first days. This is the third one, so we have to assign the next unit. We already started unit 2 yesterday, but today I'm going to assign everything over here. Again, as I'm doing it, I'm going to ask you some questions, but I want to know if you have any questions or comments before I can ask you some questions, Leandro. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions.
All right. So again, we have to start with Unit 2 officially, and we started the first part. But let's remember, please, what we did. Remember, it was the present and real conditional. What can you tell me about that tense, Elan? What do you remember about the last lesson that we covered yesterday?
Okay. I remember that we use the present and real conditional is correct.
Yes, correct.
And to say things that is not true. That yes, that is not true, and have a consequence.
Good. And what do we do with that? Remember, we say things that are not true, and we talk about those things, but what are you doing when you use the present and real conditional? For example, do you remember when you have to use it, right? You have some certain circumstances in which you can use it. I don't know if you remember one of those words or one of those ideas.
Um, uh, I don't remember in how do you say, in the moments that we use that, but we used if, like as supposed. I don't know.
Okay, yes, that's the previous lesson, right? We talk about be supposed to, but talking about the past and real, oh, sorry, the present and real conditional. Yes, we need if. We need a certain tense, we need comma, and we need the second tense. But let's remember, I'm going to tell you something. For example, if I tell you, now I don't have money, so I cannot buy, all right, I cannot buy a car. Okay, I don't have money, so I cannot buy a car. What is the present and real conditional for that?
Mm, if you didn't have money, uh,
Close to
if
that,
you
remember that it has to be the opposite, right? So if the
oh
reality is that I don't have money, right, it has to be the opposite.
okay, if you have money, um if you had money,
Great.
um you would buy a car.
Yeah, perfect. Correct. Right? The reality is that I don't have money, so I cannot buy a car. And the hypothesis or the expectation that you have or the desire that you have is that if you had money, you would buy a car. Right? So good. That's great. Now, I'm finishing this with Pearson, Leandro. I'm going to leave Pearson. Just remember that you have until today to finish everything for Unit 1, right?
Mhm.
11:59 p.m. And that you, well, start today until Friday for Unit 2, the same. All the
Um,
assignments plus the first quiz. Yes,
um,
tell me, Leandro.
one question. Uh, could you please um how do you say that? Um, could you please get me one more day, please? If that I don't have time to
Okay. Yes,
do
yes, no
that,
problem.
please.
Yes, you can say if you want, you can use the word extend, right? And you can say, could you extend the time or the due date? Okay, the due date is the
Okay.
day in which you will have to present. Okay, so I'm going
Okay.
to write those two words here. just to practice. So extend,
Extend.
and it's in the chat, and the due date is the time, the exact time in which you have to present that. So let's repeat that idea, please. Can you extend the due date?
Can you extend the due date?
Okay, good. Yes, and again, as I was saying, yes, of course, no problem. Let me do that
Thank you.
now before I forget. All right. And it's going to be the first one, but remember, you need to also work in unit 2, and that's going to be until Friday. All right.
Yes.
Good.
All
So
right. Thank
these are for unit 1. Yes. So I'm changing this until tomorrow. Again, 11:30 p.m. Okay, that's one. And also let me change then the first quiz. Let me go back. Okay, I think it's, where is it? I cannot find, oh yes, the quiz is here. Weird. Okay, so also this one, edit, and the quiz is also until tomorrow, 11:30. So that's it, okay? Both are already there, Leandro. So you have until tomorrow for this one and until Friday for the second.
you. Thank you.
Okay, no, you're welcome. There you go. So let's continue working. You don't have problems with the present and real conditional. So we're going to go directly to the next lesson. That is going to be the past. Or sorry, before going there, I remember that there were some questions. Just to practice, we are going to read those questions at the end. Leandro, these ones. For example, this is one question. What would you do if you found a wallet on the street? What do you say? What would you do?
If I found a wallet on the street, I would investigate who is the owner. It's correct. Owner.
Yes, owner is great. Just remember, as your question is inside a statement, it's going to be embedded question, right? So inversion. So it's going to be who the owner is.
Who the owner is. Okay.
Good. Great. Yes, that's correct. Good. If I found a wallet on the street, I would investigate, right, who the owner is, or I would look for the owner, and or you can say I would take a look at the ID and I would contact that, or I would take a picture of the ID and I would upload it to Facebook, to Instagram, right? So you can say many things, right? Anything that is possible is correct, and it's good. We have one more. How would you feel if you failed on your test?
If I fail on my test, I would feel very bad. That's correct.
Yes, that's correct. Any negative feeling that you can have or emotion is correct, right? I will feel depressed. I will feel bad. I will feel down, even you can say, right? Down, like also sad, and
Or
many other things.
I will practice for the next one.
Yes, in this case, they are
Better.
asking you about your feelings, right? So you can talk
Oh,
first about your feelings, and then you can
oh,
say that you would practice for the next one, right? But it's
okay.
correct. You can also say that. Good. Again, remember the rule, right? If you use if, you have to say where. But again, if you say was, is correct. Remember that was is always correct. Only when you use the subjunctive in the conditional, you have to use where, right? If I were rich, I would buy a mansion. If she were my girlfriend, we would go out very often, right? If it were, and so on and so forth. But that's it, okay? I wanted to show that just to refresh our memories. Now we're going to go to the past perfect continuous. To learn the past perfect continuous, in a certain way, you already practiced with this, with some examples. But let's remember one more time, very shortly, the difference. We have the time because today we have to start with unit 2, and we already covered, right, the first part. So let's talk about this. What do you remember about the simple past, the present perfect, and the past perfect. These are three different types of past. And what do you remember? And I'm going to give you examples. Past perfect is simple past is just using the simple past, right? For example, I went to the concert yesterday. Okay, I went to the concert yesterday. Simple past. The present perfect, you're going to explain. An example is I have gone to a concert before. And the past perfect, I had finished, oh no, let's use the same verb. I had gone to that concert before I met you. Okay, I have gone to that concert before I met you. So those are three examples. What is the difference then between the three of them, Leandro?
The difference is the information that we have. In the first, we have information that the time, but in the next two, we don't have um, information of the period of the time or of the time.
Yes, that's true, but I would say mainly that's between number one, right, simple past, and number two, present perfect, right? Why? Because if you analyze in number three, the past perfect, we have also time. We know when, right? For example, if I ask you, when had you gone to the concert? And you can say, when or before I met you, right? So we know when. Okay, so in the simple past and in the past perfect, we know when it happened. Because remember, the simple past is definite action in the past, and the past perfect is the past of another definite action in the past. Okay, so in the simple past and the past perfect, we know. But in the middle, in the present perfect, we don't know, as you said, right? Because we only say before. We can say period of time, but we don't know when it happened, right? So one more time, let's explain that one more time, and then you're going to do it once again. So the simple past is the definite past about something that finished and that we know when it happened, right? That's it. The present perfect, I have gone to that concert before, is indefinite past. We don't know, or we don't care, or we don't want to say when it happened. We just want to say that it happened or it has happened, period, right? And the past perfect is the past of the past, and it's also definite because remember that you always need another time reference. Remember that you can say by June, it means before June. We don't know exactly in that moment when, but we have a reference. But we know when you say, for example, I had, or the show had finished when you arrived, right? So we know that the first action happened before the action that you arrived. Okay, so we know when. We know that it was before that time. In the present perfect, we don't know before what. Okay, so let's try to analyze that one. With that explanation, then, let's try to give first three examples. Let's start with the simple present. Give me please one example that is definite that we can locate in a calendar.
Um, I went to the party. Um, I went to the party 2 days ago.
Okay, yes, that is correct. Good. One with the present perfect with a different verb, and try to use an expression that mentions period of time. Remember, we don't know when, but we know how long, right? We know the period of time. So what do you say in the present perfect? What idea can you give me?
I had um
But if you say had, that's the past perfect, right? We need the present perfect that is with have or has.
okay, um I have bought this computer before.
Yes, you can say before. Good. But one more with that one. That the example is correct. I have bought, right? I have bought this computer before, right? Let's say it was the exact same model, right? And you have bought it before. Now, one more, but give me one example in which you can talk about period of time to use for, right? For 5 days, for 5 years, something like that. Also with the present perfect.
Okay. I have I have I have worked in this project for 6 months.
Yeah, perfect. Good. So in that case, again, we don't know when, right? I don't know when you worked in that project for 6 months, but we know that it happened in the past and we know that it was for 6 months, right? And probably it has a connection with the present, right? So good. That's important for the present perfect. Now, the past perfect. Remember, the past perfect doesn't have a connection with the present. Everything happens in the past and it has a connection with another action in the past. That's why we kind of know when it happened. We know that it happened before another action, another specific action, right? So it's not as exact as the simple past, but we have an idea of when it happened, right? It's not any time in the past, it's before a specific action in the past. So what do you say? Remember, the past perfect needs two parts, right? The past perfect action and the other action in the simple past to talk about which one is first and which one is second. So what example can you give me only with the past perfect, not the past perfect continuous?
Well, I don't remember how to say it, but I uh, I don't remember how to say that.
Let me help you with this one. I'm going to give you a Spanish idea, but this is what you're supposed to say in English, all right? How do you say, for example, yo había ingresado a la reunión cuando tú me llamaste? Okay, everything is in past. How do you say that? Yo había ingresado a la reunión cuando tú me llamaste. O me había conectado. Any of those.
Okay, I had connected to the meeting. I had connected to the meeting when you called me.
And that call, as it's simple past, it's going to be with ed, right? So when you called me. Great. Correct. So that's the past perfect. Remember, you have two parts, the past perfect and the simple past. And remember that you can say by the time you called me. Okay, so, and also you can use the verb join, right? So you can say, I had joined the meeting by the time you called me. The second option, I had joined the meeting before you called me. The third option, I had joined the meeting when you called me. And remember, the fourth option is a special, after I had joined the meeting, comma, you called me, right? So you have all those possibilities to talk about the past of the past, right? And again, if you ask when, you can answer. If you ask, for example, when had you joined the meeting? And you can answer, I had joined before you called me. Okay, so that's why you can answer when. So good. That's then the simple past, the past perfect, and the present perfect and the past perfect. Let's read this introduction, please, to go to the past continuous or the past perfect continuous. Sorry, Leandro.
Okay, past perfect. And even that happened before another event in the past. First event, I studied a lot. Second event, I took an exam. I had studied a lot before I took an exam. After I had studied a lot, I took an exam.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Just one little correction. Remember that if you say, for example, this one like even, is more
Mhm.
like there's another word. Okay, even is without the T, and even means incluso, right? Or even means par. All right. So here, instead of event, it's going to be more like event, event in this
Okay,
part.
event.
Event, exactly. Okay, good. So again, two events, right? Two parts. You have the action that happened first and the action that followed to that action. The same, right? I had studied a lot before I took an exam. So we know what is the past of the past. Now, if I ask you this, how can you answer, Leandro? Had you studied before that exam or the quiz, let's say the final exam? Had you studied before the final exam?
Um, it's correct if I say yes, I had, or
Yes, it's more than enough. Actually,
okay.
if it's a yes no question, if you say yes, I had, no, I hadn't, yes, he had, no, he hadn't, yes, we had, no, we hadn't, that's more than enough. And if you want after that, you can give more clarification or you can repeat, right? You can say, yes, I had studied before the final exam. Okay, but that's optional. All right, good. So yes, I had. Had you completed all the assignment before the due date?
Um,
Remember, this is about the past, right? You can talk about the past situation.
no, I had not.
Okay, good. And again, after that, optionally, you can give an argument or you can give an explanation, right? You can say, no, I hadn't because I didn't have the time, right? But again, that's always extra and optional. Now, you know the past perfect. You need the verb in the past participle. Okay, this is a review. Let's read this example to remember everything, please.
Okay, I had finished my task before you called me. She had text her friend by 11 a.m. yesterday. They hadn't started the assignment when you asked them. We hadn't even watched the first episode by the time you finished watching the entire season.
Great. And this word, just remember the I is going to be like entire, entire.
Entire. Okay.
Good. Perfect. So again, this is not the lesson. Remember that we know the past perfect. This is just a review. So we're not going to practice. It's just to remember. I don't know if you have any questions because now we're going to go to the past perfect continuous. This is just the introduction. Do you have questions so far?
No, I don't have questions.
All right. So let's go to the past perfect continuous. Again, remember that you use the past perfect continuous to talk about actions in progress. All right. And what is the difference between the past perfect continuous and the past continuous? Is that the past perfect continuous is an action in progress before another action in the past, and that finished before another action in the past. Okay, so this is always before. This is always the first event in the past. So let's read this, please.
Okay, past perfect continuous. Something that was in progress before another past event. First event, in progress. I was sitting. Second event, you arrived home. I had been eating before you arrived home. After I had been eating, you arrived home.
Exactly, right? And if you analyze, it has the same meaning. I can ask this, for example, Leandro, what had you been doing before you joined yesterday's class? What have had you been doing before you joined yesterday's class? What do you
Mm,
say?
I had been chatting in WhatsApp before I connected to the class.
Exactly. Or joined, right? You can
And
use one
joined.
of those. Good, correct. So again, right, it's an action that you were doing before, okay? It finished, and then you joined the meeting. All right, that's very important to get, and I believe that you got it. So this is the illustration, right? I had been studying before you arrived, when you arrived, and everything is in past, okay? It doesn't have a contact with present, all right? Everything happens just in the past, all right? Very easy. So this is the same, right? I just asked you this question. What had you been doing before you joined the class yesterday or yesterday's class? This is another question. It's very common. Had you been running before our last meeting? You looked tired.
I, no, I had not.
Exactly. Remember that when you have auxiliary at the beginning, it's enough to use that auxiliary. So you can say, yes, I had, or no, I hadn't. And again, after that, you can give an explanation, right? You can simply say, it's just that I worked until late and I was tired because of that, not because I had been running, right? And you can give again always some extra explanation. Now, this is very simple because you don't need to use the past participle. You always need the verb to be in the past participle, but you don't change that. So I had been studying. I had been working. I had been whatever you want, studying, working, reading, listening, and playing, right? Anything that you can be doing in the continuous form is going to be there. Now, we're going to read these examples and we're going to work on some examples ourselves. But let's read these ones first, please, Leandro.
Okay. I have been studying a lot before the big day. She had been asking her friends about it by the time you let her know the answer. They hadn't been they hadn't been paying attention to the class when the teacher asked them a question. He had been running a lot. That's why he was so tired.
Great. Very good. Now, this is we're going to watch that one, but before, and perhaps not today, but I want to work on the examples first. Did I send it? No, not yet. So I'm sending the link as always.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we're going to work with some examples with this. And I believe that we have the extra time to practice also with something extra. But this is, or yes, this is the set of instructions then, Leandro. Everything is there? Yes. We're going to write 6 examples in total, and it's going to be with different expressions. All right. And one affirmative and one negative. It's going to be like this. All right. So 2 examples with when. All right. And again, one affirmative and one negative. All right. So remember, for example, it can be I had been studying when you arrived, right? That's the common example I'm repeating. And you do exactly the same, but the next 2 and 2 are going to be one with before and one with by the time. Remember that all of them work with the simple past. Okay, so one more time, it will be I had been running when you arrived. I had been running before you arrived, or I have been running by the time. Okay, by the time you arrived. 6 in total, okay, with all of them, one affirmative and one negative. And let's use also 6 different verbs, okay, to have 6 different actions. But that's it. These are the instructions or the requirements. I don't know if you have questions before going, well, giving you the time to do it. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions.
All right, let's do it then, please. Again, from 5, 6 minutes is going to be the expected. Let's have 6 minutes and we'll check in that time.
Okay.
Right, I'm leaving you with the formula just in case.
I finished, I guess.
Let's take a look, all right? Well, you're going to need perhaps some corrections. If not, I'm going to let you know. But you've been working great, so I believe it's going to be good as well. So let's read, please, your examples, Elian.
Okay. My sister had been cooking dinner for an hour when I got home. They hadn't been having technical issues when we got to the cinema. She had been studying French for 3 years before she finally went to France. I hadn't been feeling well for weeks before I finally went to see a doctor. I had been sitting in front of the computer for 6 hours by the time I finished my work, and the boss hadn't been available for for a meeting by the time I left the office.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I think it's pretty good. Only number six, remember, in number six, actually, that is the present perfect, right? And it's not the present perfect continuous. Why? Because you have hadn't been, but you don't have a verb with ing, right? But we're not going to change. It's good, but that's the present perfect simple, right? All of the rest are continuous because you say had been cooking, had been studying, hadn't been feeling, had been sitting, hadn't been and the last one, right? You don't have ing, you have an adjective. All right, but again, it is correct. It is just that you have then five in the past perfect continuous and one in the past perfect. And all of them are great. I don't have questions. I don't know if you have comments because this is all right, essentially how you use it. Let me know, please, Leandro. Do you have any questions or anything before finishing with this part?
Yeah, we can change the order.
Correct. In all of them, you can work with inversion. Okay, let's try with two. Change the order of two, please. The two that you want.
Okay. When I got home, my sister had been cooking dinner for an hour.
Correct. And what do you have to add when you change the order?
A comma.
A comma, right? So correct. When I got home, comma, my sister had been cooking dinner for an hour. Perfect. One more, please.
Okay. By the time I finished my work, I had been sitting in front of the computer for 6 hours.
Exactly. And again, the only thing you do is add the comma and everything is correct. Okay, it is good. It's perfect. Again, as you can see, this is something common, mainly when you want to talk about a past situation. All right, but that's perfect. I think we're good with that. Now, I want to do something else before working with this idea. It's just that we had not been working, but you already wrote well, some interesting ideas now, so it's not going to be that one. Let me check the next one that we have. We have perfect models. Okay, let's have the introduction and mainly for speaking. This one, all right, the past perfect continuous is considered done. We're going to try to cover the introduction for this one. And tomorrow we're going to have a different activity because we're working very good with the elements. And I'm also going to give you some instructions, Leandro, as this is the last course, as I told you. We're going to try to have at least one speaking presentation that is going to be before the 8th day. Okay, we're going to have some extra time. That's why I'm covering this, all right, with a better pace so that we have extra time on the last day. Okay, so the last day, remember, it's going to be, let me verify just in case it is here. I closed it. We are in the third class. We have 5 more classes. So let me just see. It's the 15. Okay, so tomorrow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so on Wednesday the 15th, Leandro, I'm going to tell you that now. You are going to present something very short. okay, very short, a short presentation about any topic that you want. And tomorrow I'm going to give you the structure. Okay, you're going to have a short introduction, a body, and a conclusion. But it has to be something that shows me that you know that you can paraphrase, right? You are not going to read the information that you have. You're going to have elements to guide you, but mainly you have to be speaking. Okay, it can be about a passion that you have, something that you love. Okay, it has to be something that motivates you, something that it's interesting for you, so that you can talk a lot about it. Okay, so I'm telling you
Okay.
now so that you can be looking for the topic. Remember, you have 1 week. Be looking for the topic. It's going to be short. At least it's going to be a 10 minutes presentation in which I'm going to ask you some questions, but you're going to have, you can use PowerPoint if you want, or you can use Spreadsheet, Genially, Canva, right? Any of the web pages that you can use to work on your presentation. And it doesn't have to be long. It's enough to have one for the introduction, one for the body, or two for the body, and one for the conclusion, and that's it. The most important part is for you to speak. Okay, I don't know if you have questions. I'm going to give you more details tomorrow, but I want to know if you have any questions about these details.
No, I don't have questions.
Okay, good. So that's going to be for Wednesday next week. You have to be getting ready. That's one thing. And we're going to try to have also a special writing task that is going to be for Monday, okay? To at least see also how is the overall progress that you had. So on Wednesday, I'm going to evaluate the overall progress that you have for speaking, and I'm going to give you some recommendations because it's going to be the last day. So after that last day, you can work on your by yourself. Okay, also Monday, but on Monday you're going to have the weekend. I'm going to tell you also tomorrow or Friday perhaps a task that you're going to have for the weekend. It's going to be again very short, just one a short essay. It can be an introduction, again, body and conclusion about again something that you're going to choose to talk about. But I'm going to give you a template, right? Una plantilla, and you're going to use that template to fulfill it with your information, and you're going to present that also on Monday, and I'm going to give you feedback, and also I'm going to give you recommendations for writing in general. Okay, so we're good. And again,
Okay.
my recommendation there mainly, Leandro, is that you work that by yourself and try to work on Word without the English version activated so that you don't have corrections. Okay, try to write in the way that you can with everything that you know so that you have some mistakes that I can check, and that's going to be helpful for you. Okay, it's not going to be something that I'm going to give a score. It's something extra. So don't worry about making mistakes. The main thing is that you show me what is your writing level up to that point. All right.
All right.
So with that said, then please let's work on a short introduction for the next topic that is going to be perfect models. And you already know about perfect models. Remember about the past and real conditional. In the past and real conditional, you have to use the past perfect and the perfect model, right? So what do you remember? How do you form a perfect model, Leandro? Let's see if you remember something about it.
Mm, um, I don't know. Is the second part of the Unreal that
Yes, usually it's the second part. Remember, let's first work with the unreal, the past unreal condition. Okay, not the present, the past unreal condition. Remember, it's about a past situation. So the same example that I gave you, but in the past, I didn't have money, so I couldn't buy that car. Okay, I didn't have money, so I couldn't buy that car. So what is the past and real conditional for that situation? Again, it's always the opposite, but first you have to use the past perfect and then the perfect model.
okay. Um, if I had money. Correct.
That is correct, but that's present, right? Remember, the simple past in conditional is present. So you need the past, and the past is the past perfect. So you need had, had. If I had
Had.
had. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Good.
If I had money, I would is correct to use would.
Yes,
I
would is
would
correct.
buy that. Yeah, bought that car.
Close. One more time, please. The second part. I would.
Buy.
It's good, but actually you have to use both. But to use both, you have to use perfect model. And remember, the perfect model is the combination of a model, would, plus the auxiliary have, and then the main verb in the past participle, right? So it's going to be I would have bought. All
Okay.
right, and that means yo habría comprado, right? If you say would buy means compraría, but would have bought means habría comprado. All right, so that's the difference between a model, would buy, and the perfect model, would have bought. So one more time, please, Leandro, the entire example.
If I had money, I would have bought this car or that
Correct.
car.
Or that car. Great. Very good. So now we know and we remember what is a perfect model, right? A perfect model is a past model. Okay, so perfect models are past models. How do you form a perfect model? The model plus have, always have, because remember, after a model, you always use the base verb. And after that combination, you use the past participle, right? I would have bought. I could have bought. It must have happened. It should have started. All right. So it's that idea about debería haber empezado, debe haber concluido, right? Podría haber terminado. So that's the idea of the perfect model. Okay. It's about past, but with models. So again, before going, because today is just the introduction, Leandro, we always have regrets, right? How can you define a regret or when you regret something, Leandro?
What is the meaning of regret?
Regret, I'm going to give you an example and you're going to try to define it. For example, I studied, let's say, I'm going to make this up, okay? I'm inventing something. I studied arts, but now I say, it was a bad idea, okay? It was better perhaps to study, I don't know, some type of engineering. Okay, so I feel bad about one decision that I took in the past. All right, so what types of regrets, or what is something that you regret, for example, Leandro, something that you did in the past, but you feel bad about it, or you say, it was not a good idea?
I regret, I think, get out of my home when I don't have a permission.
Okay, yes. And you can say, if you're going to connect that idea, you're going to use then the gerund, right? It's going to be, I regret getting out or getting away from my home, right? Or getting out or going out or leaving. It's better, I think, in that case, if
Leaving.
you say leaving. I regret leaving my house or going out without permission. Okay, good. Now, let's use the perfect model to talk about the regret. With that I told you, how do you think that you say this, Leandro? How do you say, yo debería haber pedido permiso a mis papás para salir esa noche? How do you say
Mm, I might.
that? Close, but if you say might, it means puede que, no? Puede
Okay.
que haya. But if you want to say debería to show that regret, you have to use should.
Should. Okay.
Mhm.
I should um ask for permission.
That is correct, but that's present, right? I should ask means yo debería pedir permiso ahora. But how do you say yo
Asked.
debería haber pedido permiso? It's going to be asked, but you cannot say should asked. It's going to be incorrect because
Okay.
after should, right, you
Yes.
use the base verb.
Okay, okay. Um, I should have
Uh,
um asked. Asked is the past
Asked.
participle. Okay,
Yes,
I should have asked for a permission.
correct. To go out, right, that night or that time, right? So that's the idea.
Right.
You have to use the auxiliary have
Okay.
because that means debería haber. All right, that have means haber. So good. I should have asked for permission. Now, imagine that this is the situation. All right, I studied arts again. No, let's say no, the opposite, right? Because usually it's the opposite. I studied law, but I really wanted to study music. Okay, I studied law, but I really wanted to study music. So how can you show me a regret for that study? What is an idea that you can give me using perfect model?
Um, um, I regret um studying laws.
Uh-huh. Good. And in that one, it's enough if you keep it like singular, like law. That's going to be like
Law.
the career. Yes, the major. Correct. Now, how can you give me then the regret using the perfect model? Again, how do you say yo debería haber estudiado música en lugar de derecho o leyes? How do you say that?
Okay. I should have studied music um, because I regret studying law.
Huh? Good. Or if you want to make it shorter, how do you say en lugar de? Puedes decir instead of law,
Okay,
right? To make it straight to the
but
point.
we don't use the word regret.
And no, it's not necessary because
Okay,
if you use should have, that's always used for regrets. And we imagine that it's a regret. Okay, so it's
okay,
not necessary. If you want, you can give, as you said, it's pretty good, right? You can say, I should have studied music again, right? Because I really regret having studied law. Okay, so that's also a regret about the past, but it's not necessary, but you can do it for clarification. All right, so again, this is the introduction. Tomorrow we're going to cover this, but I'm going to show you. This is an example. Let's read this example, please, Leandro.
okay. You should have started before if you want to finish earlier.
Exactly. Now, as you can see, it's not only for regret, it's also to talk about advice or recommendations for a past situation, right? So you say, right, I couldn't finish before, and you say, blah, 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 right? But I can say, hey, but you should have started before if you wanted to finish earlier, right? So it's advice in past, all right, for a past situation that doesn't have a context for the present. Now, here you have a contrast, Leandro. Here you have a past perfect, all right, or sorry, you have the perfect model and you have a present model. So let's read the two of them, please, and let's identify the differences.
Um, Sorry.
Yes,
Um,
first, let's read the two. That's the first thing. Let's read the two examples, please.
Okay, you could have chosen the other option. It was better. You could choose the other option. It will be better.
Sorry, what is the difference between the two examples there?
the how to say that, the auxiliary have, and
That is correct.
participle, no, what is past
Yes, you
participle of the verb.
correct. Very good. So one is in past, the other one is in present, or it can be even future. One uses the perfect structure with have, the auxiliary, correct, and the past participle of the verb. But remember, after, if you realize, after the model, you always use the base form. It's just that in this case, besides the base form, sorry, you're using the past participle, and here you don't use anything, right? And this is always related to a past situation. It was better. But if you say could choose, this is better, present, or will be better, future, right? So this is past possibility, could have chosen, and this is present or future possibility, you could choose. Okay, so we're going to be finishing here. We have more. We're going to cover at least 4 or 5 perfect models, and we're going to see when is always a good context to use those models. So
Okay.
I don't know if you have questions about the lesson of the past perfect and this introduction of the perfect models, Leandro. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions.
Okay, good. So again, as I told you, then I'm sending the survey first. Let's complete that one, please. And in the meantime, remember, please, one more time, on Monday, you're going to be presenting a short essay. I'm going to give you more ideas, but try to think of the possibilities about what you're going to be writing. Okay, and on Wednesday, you're going to have a speaking presentation, an oral presentation. Again, any topic that you like about something that you know, so that you can use the words that you know, and again, show me that in an organized way on a presentation. All right, have that in mind, please. And with that, we're finishing. I hope you have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next class, Leandro. Take care.
See you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.